The focus of my questions are with you, Ambassador Morningstar, as you might guess. And I appreciate the fact that this is probably not the assignment you were looking for. You were happy doing what you were doing. It's one that the Secretary's asked you to do, so I understand that. But it is also an opportunity to discuss policy issues vis-a-vis your nomination here. And last week, Secretary Clinton was touring the South Caucasus, and her visit to the region coincided with an escalation of ceasefire violations by Azeri forces, including a cross-border incursion that killed 3 Armenian soldiers and wounded 5 others, as well as a breach along the Nagorno-Karabakh line of contact. And these actions confirm, in my view, the president of Azerbaijan's threat that Armenia will, quote, Armenia will live in fear. I look at that statement, Armenia will live in fear, and I look at the speech that was done in an official state address to his people. Azerbaijan's President Aliyev stated that, quote, our main enemies are Armenians of the world. Now, if confirmed, what steps will you take to address this ongoing problem along the line of contact? And do you think that, based upon those types of statements, that proposed sales of military hardware to be used in conjunction with Azerbaijani's military helicopter fleet is really in the national interest of the United States?
Well, first of all, let me just even preface my comments by, just one thing. I want to make very clear that I'm very happy and excited to go to Azerbaijan, and it is a country that is extremely important to our national interest, and I'm looking forward to being there.
Duly noted for that.
Secondly, when I'm in Baku, if I'm confirmed, and when I deal at the highest levels of the government, whether it be with the president or the foreign minister or the like, I will follow administration policy, but I think I can say that, and work also with Bob Bradke, our Nagorno-Karabakh negotiator, very closely. But I think it's fair to say that, and I will say, that any language that is counterproductive, such as the language that you've said, that any actions by any party that bring about loss of life, as the Secretary of State said last week, create increased tension, can create escalation that can have unpredictable and unforeseeable consequences and make even more difficult the task of achieving a settlement in Nagorno-Karabakh. I will do everything that I can, looking at it from the Azerbaijan side of things, if confirmed, to discourage that and talk about how unacceptable that is. And I think that that goes without saying. And it's important. I think it's critically important. I don't think any party should inflame the situation by either unhelpful rhetoric or by escalating tensions through actions that result in tragic loss of life. With respect to the question of the sales of military hardware, it raises a difficult issue, but something that we have to pay, I think, incredibly close attention to. And I think we have to comply strictly with the waiver provisions under Section 907. I think we also have to recognize that Azerbaijan does live in a difficult neighborhood. There are increasing tensions with respect to other neighbors, particularly Iran. and that we have to provide, I think, security assistance, possibly military assistance, in ways that cannot be used to exacerbate any situation with respect to Armenia and Nagorno-Karabakh. And I think we have to do that. I think we have to be very, very strict in doing that. But that still, I think, would allow us to do some things that are important, whether it be maritime security in the Caspian, whether it be cooperating on counterterrorism with respect to Iran, with respect to some of the other things we do. I fully appreciate your concern.
Well, I didn't hear President Aliyev say my main enemy or security concern is Iran. He said my main enemy, or our main enemies, are Armenians of the world. And so when we are talking about giving military or selling military hardware to the Azerbaijanis, I think about what the Helsinki bottom lines are. When I asked a similar question to former Ambassador-designee Mr. Bryza, because there had been another incident where 4 Armenians had been killed, he reiterated the 3 pillars of the Helsinki Final Act: non-use of force or the threat to force, the principle of territorial integrity, and equal rights and self-determination of peoples. Well, non-use of force or the threat to force, obviously that gets enhanced by giving military hardware to the Azerbaijanis, especially when they say our major enemy is the Armenians of the world. I have a real problem with us going ahead and selling military hardware to the Azerbaijanis based upon what has happened. It didn't say the Iranians are our threat. Let me ask you, if I may, with the indulgence of the chair, 2 other questions. One is, why wasn't Azerbaijan's demolition of the Christian Armenian cemetery in Jufa included in the State Department's International Religious Freedom Report? Do you know?
No, I don't know, but I can say that if I am confirmed and if I go to Baku, I will make every effort to visit that cemetery. That any kind of desecration such as that is, unacceptable, outrageous, and I will do my best to get there and see it.
So, do I take your response to mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if confirmed, you will personally travel to Jufa to investigate the destruction of the cemetery?
I will make my best effort.
Well, I would assume that your best effort would only be impeded by the Azerbaijanis not letting you go. I want to try to understand what your best effort is. You're going to do everything possible to go?
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, what specific steps will you take if confirmed and if you have the opportunity to go, which I would expect you should be, to have the cemetery preserved as a protected holy site?
I will. I think that it's important as one of our major priorities to press for religious freedom in Azerbaijan. It's not an all-negative record. They've been helpful with respect to some communities, but not others. And I think that what we need to do is to take very strong positions as an administration and in Baku, if I'm there, to protect the rights of the Armenian Church, as well as to rectify the situation with respect to the cemetery, and that would be a major part of the agenda.
Well, I appreciate that answer. Finally, I don't expect you to answer differently than I have had previous witnesses, nominees before this committee. But I do have to ask you whether or not you contest any of the facts of what transpired in 1915 as it relates to 1.5 million Armenians who were brutally massacred or marched to their deaths in the waning days of the Ottoman Empire?
No, I do not.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I look forward to following up with Ambassador Morningstar.